for the first category, for the award of, you can go forward, for the award of water conservation sustainability, the 2013 award, it goes to the Ulu Garden at Lion Arboretum, Harold L. Lion Arboretum, in an effort to educate the public on modern practices of sustainability in the landscape. The Ulu Garden has been developed. You can start going through this, Brandon. The collection of sustainable landscape practices are meant to mitigate the impact that development may have in and around the site, but also work as a tool to inspire the average homeowner to adapt their practices within their own living spaces. The Ulu Garden is located in a highly precipitous site at the back of Manoa Valley and is a prime model to boost the benefits of storm. The judges said about the Ulu project, kudos for initiating a wonderful project with the community, and they recognized the creative way that the runoff was handled on the project and enabled infiltration of the water on site instead of leaving the site. Here to accept the award this morning is Bernice Fielding from Lion Arboretum, and I believe Wayne Baldwin from Key Concepts. Come on up. Yeah, you can clap. I've also asked each of the award winners this morning to talk a few minutes about the project, about something cool that they did or a cool story, and I believe that both presenters here are going to say a few words.
Okay, thank you, Chris. This design was a collaboration between Key Concepts and Lion Arboretum, specifically Bernice. Ulu means to grow and to inspire. I know you're all familiar with Ulu as breadfruit, but I guess this spelling doesn't include the Okina and means to grow and inspire, and that was kind of our concept for this whole design. The main target group is homeowners, because we were trying to showcase the ease of constructability and the low cost or no cost of the materials we used. And actually most of the materials we used were found on site, whether it was CMU blocks or loose gravel, or corrugated metal, or so all those materials can be found in the design, and we tried to also use as much LID as possible. So we have bioswale that leads into a rain garden. We have native and canoe plants all throughout the site, and we really paid attention to the existing topo, and we didn't try to disturb the existing topography too much. So we tried to cram all this as much as we can into this small site, showing how easy it is for the average homeowner to do this at home. In our case, we had the help of volunteers and donations to get the project done. So we really try to include the public as much as possible. And there's also room for more things to happen in the Ulu Garden in the future. So it's a constantly growing design. And it's also inspiring the public at the same time. So now I'll hand it to Bernice.
I'll hand you a bowl.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. As Wayne said, this project means a lot to us, and it has been a collaborative effort from everybody around. And for me, I'm just going to say that I have a bunch of thank yous, and I'll try to make it really, really quick. If there's anyone I left out, I apologize. But specific thank you, obviously, to Key Concepts. If it wasn't for everybody's donations and kindness, this project would have never happened. So obviously Key Concepts, Green Thumb Landscaping, who did a lot of our construction at cost, Steve Nims for donating and giving us a huge discount on our Filtrex. For Control Point for donating a survey, for Fred Lau for Hawaiian Landscapes and donating some plants, Kay Lynch for our fern donations, our recycling donated a bunch of bottles for our artistic sign that we had put in. I need to thank IMLS and specifically Malama Manoa for giving us the grant. If it wasn't for them, the project would not have started to begin with. The Friends of the Lion Arboretum for their support, obviously all of our volunteers, groups and singular, the staff at Lion Arboretum, especially Nellie Sugii, who, if it wasn't for her, this project again would have never started. And of course, thank you very much to LICH and to all of you for recognizing the importance of this project. And we haven't stopped with just the design of the project. The goal for it is to keep growing, and we really want it to impact the community, and therefore we are working on a curriculum that homeowners will be able to come and learn about all the aspects of the garden, and we're hoping to not stop it there. We would like to start a series where we can offer it to gardeners, landscapers, so they can then take it 10 steps further and they can start incorporating it into their businesses. So thank you, everybody. We don't know when it opens. We're hoping that it will open fully to the public in the new year, and we will have a grand opening at that time. We do have an Ulu Facebook page, so you can follow us there, and you can also follow it on the Key Concepts website and their Facebook page, and we will keep everybody updated. Thanks again.
There's, I think one of our later, we'll get Heidi Bornhorst to talk for a minute about the Ulu project in general, a statewide project on Ulu that will connect up well with our first presentation. And our next, we had 2 awards that were awards that the board decided they weren't ones that were open for submittal for nomination, but. We wanted to recognize the institutions and the people who had made native plants a high priority and pioneered that, and we also wanted to recognize the folks that are involved in the invasive species effort in the state. And our first award we're going to honor today is the award for 2013 Plant Pono Invasive Plant Advocacy Award, and that goes to Kaulunani Urban and Community Forestry Program. The forestry program is funded by USDA Forest Service and focuses on improving the health and the viability in Hawaiian communities through the educational programs, financial support, and in the form of cost-share grants, technical training, and Arbor Day promotions and partnerships. Since 1991, they're celebrating, I believe, about 23 years. They have, in the form of cost-share grants, matched with $3.7 million in cash and in-kind contributions for these projects. They've been quite involved. I think many people in this room probably have been involved with a Kaulunani grant. Can we see a raise of hands? How many people have worked on a project that had funds from that? That's quite a few hands. So we've been touched by it. And then there's a bunch of board members here, I believe, also from Kaulunani. So to accept the award today, Teresa Truman Madriaga is going to accept the award this morning. And I believe some of the...
Yes, I am, but I don't know who else is here.
Well, can the members who are on the board of directors for Kaulunani stand up?
You might not have a whole lot of them here.
Can they also come up for the photo? Come on, Andy.
Come on, Andy. We got a couple of...
Oh, let's- I wanted to say a few words before Teresa comes up here about Kaulunani. As you're well aware, this is sort of a symbolic award, providing this to them this year. About 10 years ago, they really pioneered the invasive species protocol, which really changed the way the industry thinks about plants. Adds a little bit more information that may affect your decision and how you use plants, and I think it's very fitting that our very first award in this category goes to the institution that really changed the paradigm and created a whole new mentality about plants that is affecting the way our urban environment looks. And so I think this is very fitting, and I think I'd love to hear some words from Teresa.
Well, first of all, I mean, thank you, LICH. This is quite an honor. I mean, for years we give out grants, and we have phenomenal projects. So any of you out who've had a grant, we just really appreciate your working with us. But the wonderful thing about the weed risk assessment is no one really knew. I mean, it was all out there. We knew there was weeds, but our council, which Heidi and Andy are on, we ran into a problem where the Forest Service said, we're not going to fund projects if there's invasive species on it. And we thought, and then they said, well, who says what's invasive? So we had our council that drove this decision, and I thought, well, let's have a summit. Let's have a meeting for the conservation industry and the urban industry, and let's figure it out. And everyone said I was crazy. It could never happen. And I thought, well, we're going to do it. And we did. We brought 42 people together, and that was the start. We used the Maui County Planting Plan as the first test for the first 600 species to determine if they're invasive. And it was not well accepted even when we're done. So there was a lot of challenges, and now it's well accepted. And to all of you who use it, and I know even like Christy Martin, who's done the Plant Pono website, and the invasive species committees, wow, we're very pleased that this is that perfect project that continued on well after it was funded by the Forest Service. So thank you all. Thank you for using it and agreeing to it. Yeah. Thank you.
And the award the actual title of the award is Plant Pono Invasive Plant Advocacy Award. LICH is working with the Plant Pono website, which Christie's organization has put together to sort of provide some tools to assist in this effort. Our next award is the Native Plant Project Award. And this award was to recognize a project with over 30% native species. This year, the award is going to the Waianae Boys and Girls Club of Hawaii, designed by Dana Ann Yee, Landscape Architect LLC. The emphasis for this project was in planting endemic native Hawaiian plants, indigenous Hawaiian plants, and Polynesian plants used in the Hawaiian culture. You can roll through the slides. The plants were specified and obtained from local native plant growers, creating cultural significance and cultural diversity with the plants already growing in the Waianae region. On New Year's Eve, native plant propagator Dennis Kim instructed volunteers and the landscape architect on the planting of the native Hawaiian aiai from stem cuttings rooted in the trays from the ground cover that would eventually fill the entire project. I think this project is a wonderful demonstration of getting a lot of volunteers. A lot of pro bono work goes into Dana Ann Yee's projects. And over the years, I think Dana has been one of the outstanding members of the landscape architecture community who's actually done a lot of projects on very low budget that weren't going to be done otherwise. So I'm really happy to award the award for the Native Plant Project to Dana Ann Yee. Dana?
So, are the boys and girls here from Waianae? It would be Raymond. They had a flat tire, otherwise they would be here. So, we have a beautiful native garden in Waianae, thanks to many members that are here too, Steve and Exactacells and Green Thumb. And it's a native plant garden. I'm not prepared, but anyway, it's a beautiful new native garden, and 80% of the plants were native. And we've got volunteers to grow some, and we, as he had mentioned, we did rooted cuttings on New Year's Eve, and we made enough for 5,000 square foot place in Waianae. And it used to be this dirt-packed place that they parked the bus on. And I said, you could turn this whole thing into a garden that they could learn from and appreciate. And that's what we did after a lot of volunteer work, a lot of donations, and a support of our entire industry. We had trees pruned by the city within a week, and we had gravel donated, Hawaiian Earth Products donated mulch, and the kids worked together and we planned 3 designs and they picked one. So if you go there, there's a beautiful path, and we made it so like Field of Dreams, if you build it, they'll come. So I built these areas that had round spaces for benches and tables, and through the time I've been donating recycled, that's why it's sustainable, benches and tables for these round areas, and they now can study and learn outside rather than in sometimes a noisy clubhouse, and they can learn all about native plants, and 100% of them are used in the Hawaiian culture. So I just like to thank everybody. It's a great award, and thank you for the partners that all helped to make this reality, because Lana Kiamo, the director, is so happy, and they would be here, but flat tire. So there's many benefits from all of this, and sorry. One other thing is that, okay, not good. So I was gonna say the most sustainable thing about the whole project is that it was done for the children or the keiki of Waianae, who normally don't have these opportunities, and because of it, each one of them planted a native plant, and each one of them takes care of it, and they have a group called the Torch Club that takes care of it, and every day they enter into this beautiful place, and they learn it just from being there. And I was gonna introduce them and say, how do you love your garden? And I know they would say they loved it. So thank you so much.
I think you need that level of energy to do all those pro bono projects. I'm pretty sure. So we've saved the overall sustainability award for the last awards that are going to be part of this award ceremony. And we'd like to start off with the honor award first. I'm sorry. We have one more award. Okay, well, that's what happens when you get about 2 hours of sleep. So it's all a blur now. Part of our other advocacy award has to do with native plants, which I mentioned earlier. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking this was going to be a really hard thing to figure out, because there's, especially in this room today, if you knew the people sitting next to you, they've probably been pioneering different things with native plants that are significant. So it was a very difficult award to think about going into our juror session, but in the end, the actual choice was actually really quite obvious. The award is going to Heidi Bornhorst, and Heidi was talking about native plants before anyone was even before it was on their radar. So I asked Aaron to sort of provide me some information on Heidi, because they're like friends since like little kids. I think kindergarten. Were you guys in kindergarten together?
Like her days.
Oh, okay. But I think this is fitting, because I think Heidi's a pretty unique person in our community, and this will sort of set a good explanation for those folks who haven't had the pleasure of running into Heidi. So Heidi was born actually in 1958, an Aries dog by Western and Chinese horoscopes. She lives up to the traits of both signs: a fearless leader of the pack, charming, charismatic, with a magnetic personality, and she might actually tell you that. She's also loyal to the core and a ferocious defender of her convictions, but her bark is always louder than her bite, because she's really just a pup at heart. Heidi wrote the first book on native plants that people have been using. I mean, it's been around since 1996. Did I get that right? So this book is 17 years old, and I think a lot of people have just been introduced to native plants in the last 5 years, and so it's quite the achievement to be so forward-thinking. But Heidi's like one of these people that when she was a little kid, she knew she was going to get into plants. It was just in her destiny. She grew up in Makiki, playing in the stream and enjoying the cool vegetation of her playground. She began volunteering at 17 years old. So she was in high school, and she volunteered for the Foster Botanical Garden, and I think that probably changed her life. She ended up becoming the director of the Honolulu Botanical Gardens many years later. Heidi's also been very popular and writes a regular column in the Advertiser and has been on KITV a number of times. One of my favorite things about Heidi is that she always wears a fresh flower. I mean, if you want to brighten your day up a little bit, Heidi comes by and she's usually got, like today, how many flowers in your hair today? 5, 6, 7? I mean, how many people go to that kind of effort? And it's hard not to smile. So I don't think I could keep going on and on, but I'd like Heidi to come up and accept the award for native plant advocacy for many years. And I'm sure she's going to have a few words.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui loa. And it wasn't me. I learned it all from Aaron. And many kupuna before us who hiked with us, who grew plants, so many to name. And I won't be long, but what I say about natives and everything about ulu, the food security and future for Hawaii and the world, eat breadfruit, eat poi. And as far as natives, I have a really simple logo, a saying, we should put it on a t-shirt. Let's grow for it. And again, mahalo, let's have a great conference. It's awesome to see you all take time from your busy day and what everyone in our industry does, the diversity in this room, it's like how our gardens can be. So again, mahalo to everyone, and let's have a great day.
For our last category, the Sustainability Awards, this was an overall award that had to encompass many aspects of sustainability. It was a category with 2 wonderful projects that were submitted, and it was very difficult to choose which awards for both of them. They were both very deserving. The award for Honor Award for Sustainability went to Punahou School, Omidar K1 neighborhood in Manoa. The K1 neighborhood at Punahou School is designed to provide an interactive, hands-on learning experience focused on educating students about natural science, sustainability, and environmental stewardship from an early age in the convenience and the safety of their school neighborhood. The new classrooms float between indoors and outdoors with ease by integrating large lanai learning areas and outdoor gathering spaces with traditional classroom learning spaces, thus allowing a unique classroom experience. I'd like to add to that this is one of the few projects I was able to visit on a previous trip last year, and this was a wonderful space that tells a story, and it has a very interactive experience with the school children. I mean, these are K1 is kindergarten, right? And these kids are dialed into the amount of water and electricity that their classrooms are using. They have a display, a web portal that tells them exactly how much energy they're saving with their PV panels and how much water is flowing that day and so forth. And so their day involves every day what's going on with their neighborhood themselves. It's like they're like a mini weather station or something going on at the school. And so I was just fascinated with the integration of sustainability and education. Accepting the award today is Stan Duncan and Julia Harrison from PBR Hawaii. Please welcome Stan and Julia.
Great, thanks so much, Chris, and also to the Awards Selection Committee members for recognizing actually all of the terrific projects that you've seen this morning, and for LICH and all the green industry, everything that everyone does in this room towards making Hawaii a better place for all of us to live, play and work, in that order. Play before work. Heidi, you're so gracious. I just want to tell you, as a landscape architect, I've learned a lot from Heidi. Probably 10 or 15 years ago, we worked together on the Ala Moana Center renovation project, where we showcased a lot of native Hawaiian plants, and the person that I went to was Heidi. So she's a resource that's there, and always a fun person to be around to work with. So thank you, Heidi. Getting back to the project, over the past decade, Punahou obviously has the resources to really become a leader in sustainability in Hawaii schools, providing an example from which others can learn from. Since 2000, Punahou has been a leader locally and nationally in sustainable design and architecture, with construction of the Case Middle School project for grades 6 through 8, and most recently the Somiti Arcata 1 neighborhood project. The Punahou Omiti Arcata 1 project, it opened in the fall of 2010 and places 300 kindergarten and first grade students in an interactive, hands-on learning experience tailored to educate students about natural sciences, sustainability, and environmental stewardship from a very early age. The campus is a place of discovery, of learning and sharing, and as Chris described briefly, the project is a showcase of green building strategies and concepts in action. Environmental sensitivity and awareness is carried through their educational curriculum as students are engaged and encouraged to interact with the landscape environment, to observe, discover, play, and learn. Students learn to grow their own fruits and vegetables and irrigate their garden plots with rainwater collected in roof catchment cisterns. They observe how a traditional farming windmill can harness wind power and to pump water, and how it can pump water. They observe how the sun's rays are absorbed in photovoltaic panels to produce 60% of the campus's electrical needs. They're encouraged to play within bioswale features that accept stormwater runoff into its channels, and they learn how runoff is absorbed back into the earth, replenishing the groundwater resources of Manoa, instead of piping it in a drain line that gets transmitted and dumped off-site. And finally, and probably most importantly, there's a wonderful Hawaiian cultural garden that's there. And it's located in the center of the project. There were some photos that were shown previously, but it's a cultural garden that displays many of our most treasured native Hawaiian plants, cultural plants, kalo, kukui, etc. I can go on and naming all of them, but it's a wonderful place where the teachers, it's an outdoor classroom environment where the students are able to come in and enjoy the space and have a classroom setting outside. So anyway, the K-1 Neighborhood Project, as I've just described, is kind of a shining example of how landscape architecture is more than just planting and irrigation design, but rather how the profession can inform architecture and site engineering and even education. It is Punahou's and our hope that these young learners will develop a passion and understanding of what it means to be good stewards of the environment. And perhaps someday may aspire to be future leaders in careers related to the environment and conservation. On behalf of PBR and our dedicated staff, mahalo for this recognition. Thank you.
PBR has been a leader in doing sustainable projects in the islands, and the Case Middle School is an early example of Punahou's commitment to sustainability. And I think what's really also interesting about the K-1 school is that a lot of it's about the story of water. And water is a lot about what we need to remedy on this island, the way that we've channelized our stream environment. So I think this is a very fitting project, especially for the area that it was in, which had the Manoa flood, right? Wasn't the flood sort of the same? Well, anyway, so it's a very fitting place. For our last award, winning the Award of Excellence in Sustainability is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It's not a word you say too often. By Key Concepts. This is how adaptive reuse and green infrastructure, culture, and native plants come together in a national historic landmark located on Ford Island. The project features the adaptive reuse of 2 World War II era aircraft hangars and their adjacent tarmac. A lot of the hangars on Pearl Harbor are preserved for historic reasons from the event that happened. So the adaptive reuse was probably quite a journey to allow that to happen. The 22-acre LEED Gold campus consolidates 2 massive adjacent hangars by constructing a new building in the space in between, therefore creating a 350,000 square foot headquarters and research center. The new campus features high-performance architectural and landscape architecture elements with a focus on adaptive reuse and green infrastructure, Hawaiian culture, native plants, and the site's layered history. The design focuses on the history and mission of NOAA while giving reverence to the indigenous Hawaiian culture and incorporating World War II history of the site. The judges' comments on this project were they appreciated the adaptive reuse and the extensiveness of that system in the design. That the water management strategies of this project were integrated, aesthetically pleasing, and were subtle expressions in the landscape, as some of these slides show. And that the irrigation water is supplied from multiple sources: rainwater, condensation, and gray water. Accepting this award today from Key Concepts is Vivian Arita. Vivian, congratulations.
Can you all see me here? This is the biggest worry when I speak, if people can see me over the podium. But anyway, thank you to LICH, thank you to the selection committee. This project was one of the most challenging in our office, and honestly, it was a team effort. It wasn't, one person's project. Everybody worked on this job together to come to this point where we're at now. And it's been 8 years in the making, but it's been not only challenging, but very satisfying through the process. And so thank you, LICH, for recognizing the NOAA Pacific Region Center. I can't really pick one significant thing about this project that we did. I think everything culminated in a package that we thought was very successful. And so not only the irrigation and the landscape, but just integrating the cultural aspects of the site and the historic presence of the hangars, as well as the tarmac, which is a previous airfield, and the Mackay side of the project, which was actually a brownfield site. We had restored it to its presence today using almost 100% native plants. The only non-native plant was the grass, and so we're very proud about that. I think we're very happy that the owners are pleased with the product, and they should be opening it probably this year. It's completed construction and it's within maintenance, and so we're eager to have it open and used for the public as well as in NOAA and NAFAC. Thank you.
So for the Award of Excellence, we're providing an OO stick. And this one is made out of mahogany, so it's a pretty dangerous implement. But no, they originally were made out of alahea, and this is the tool of the trade. And so we thought this was appropriate for the Award of Excellence to have an OO stick. And congratulations. Yeah, do more digging. Work. Get to work.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank everyone for submitting their projects and for inspiring, hopefully, everyone. And we'll have a nice article in the magazine talking about these projects in particular. And one of the outshoots will be that each one of them submitted a do-it-yourself part for their project. So some of the innovative things that you may or not have seen in a small number of slides we showed, there'll be a publication that will talk more about some of these innovations. And so there'll be quite some interesting more materials to arrive out of this award ceremony. Next year we're going to do a different kind of awards, and we're going to surprise you and leave it for a surprise, but we're going to try a different approach and alternate these awards every other year. So congratulations to everyone who has received an award today and for excellent projects, and please stick around and answer some questions should anyone have them. We have a surprise that very few people know about, but if I could get Aaron to dim the lights. This is only about 5 people in this room know what's going on, so we need the rest of the lights. But are you ready with the first one? Earlier in this year, one of the things I've realized in Hawaii is that a lot of the innovation and the way the industries were shaped by a small number of individuals who pioneered how to do things here, because we are a tropical paradise. We're not a temperate climate, which is the other 48 states. And so there's a lot of discovery, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of keep trying, even if you fail, to figure out what's going to work. So we'd like to recognize some of those industry titans or leaders or pioneers. So we created a new award at the annual meeting called the Director Emeritus, which is recognizing people who have worked, particularly at LICH, for 5 years or greater and contributed to the shaping of the industry and the shaping of our organization. And I think the first 4 that you're going to see today are the reason why we're actually here today. I don't think, if any of them wasn't part of the equation, I don't think we'd be having this conference or all the events that we have. So why don't we start off with the first video then? I hope people can hear the audio. A little dramatic.
Introducing one of the palm experts of the Pacific, one of the community leaders of the Big Island of Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, involved in professional organizations, community organizations, to make our island a better place. Introducing Director Emeritus, Garrett Webb.
The stature of Garrett Webb within the landscape industry is taller yet. In fact, were it not for the vision and the persistence of Garrett, the form that honors him today would not exist. The landscape industry, our industry, now maintains a place in our community worthy of its mission, in large part due to the Garrett's involvement. Brad, to me, is a great example of a man who demands excellence of himself and inspires excellence in everybody around him. He is, I would say, a true Renaissance man. Besides being a Renaissance musician, he has reinvented himself over and over again in the years that have gone. And whatever he does it with real excellence.
Garrett believes in giving back to the community, whether it's personal or business. He walks the talk, and he has donated so much time to LICH, to the Harvest Association, to TILA. He's always out there being involved in our industry, and I know with his early music, I think it's Baroque music, he plays the recorder. He's very active with that too. So he definitely believes in that, and he lives it.
Put your hands together for Garrett Webb.
He's a pretty easy guy to spot. So, Garrett, we'd like to hear a few words about your involvement in LICH and hear maybe a funny story.
I'm just going to put me totally on the spot, right?
On the spot. No written. Yeah. This is a surprise, by the way. No one knows. We were going to do this morning.
Hey, well, my history with LICH was mainly through the certification program. So I can't remember what year it was in the other century. We got a grant to start the certification program. And at that point, LICH, I think, was in a 10-year period of...
In a box.
Yeah, it was basically papers in a box. And I kept pressuring John Wilkinson to reform LICH so that it could be the certifier of statewide of people getting certified. In the then it was the CLT program. So he finally said, "Okay, come on over to Oahu." We came over and met Jay's office, and a bunch of the old guys were there that started LICH and sat down at a table, and they said, "So everybody in favor of Garrett being president of LICH, say aye." They all said aye. They said, "There's $10,000 in this checkbook, take care of it." Plunked it on the table, and everybody left the room. And that's that's how it started. So we, had to quick scramble and put together a board and begin restart LICH, and it's come to an incredible long way. I think we just have an amazing amount of programs, and certification is just one of many incredibly good and valuable programs in this industry. So anyway, thanks for this.
Thank you.
If I get on
And if you can just stand right there, we have to keep you involved. You can't run away. You can't run away. So, each one of these emeritus that we're going to recognize this morning have been the reason why many of us have participated in LICH and why it continues to go on. This is a volunteer organization, and you're basically looking at some of the hardest working volunteers, and someone like Garrett's been doing it for 15 years, 20 years with LICH, or 26? Okay. It's like going to a government office and saying, have you worked there 5 years, 10, 15? And I just hit 10 before I left DOT, so I was happy for a brief moment. But no, it's amazing. Each one of these emeritus is what they've given to the industry, and it's awesome that we can recognize them here today. Can we dim the lights for number 2? So I hope you could hear the audio. We were working on that up to the very last second here, trying to keep all the director emeritus out of the room while we were fooling around with it.
Board member of the FC Engineering Council Board of Directors, serving 26 years of continuous service, announcing Director Emeritus Leland Shed.
My name is Mylan Rupert. I'm working at Kauai Nursery with Leland Nishek. I do fruit trees, water plants, and bamboo. Leland's been, I believe, really important to the landscape industry in Hawaii for the last 30-odd years. And it's been a pleasure working with him and for him for the last 11 years. Thank you. Congratulations, David.
Those are all the resorts Leland's done. Sorry, the audio is low, but he's talking about how Leland's created a family atmosphere at KNL. That's my job. My job is to surprise you.
We get to lay you.
Oh.
This is totally unexpected. I've really I'd like to thank the LICH committee for giving me this award. I started off my nursery business in 1963 after I got out of being in the submarine service in Pearl Harbor for 3 years. And it was part-time for probably about 10 years. And the industry started to grow enough where I could go into the business full-time. And my goal was to hire 5 employees, never any more. And that lasted for about 5 years, and we went up to 150 employees, just because the economy was growing. And I never imagined in my life, as growing up as a kid in North Dakota, that I would ever be here in Hawaii and do the amount of projects we've done. And we went all over the state, did a lot of projects throughout the state, but then when we had the hurricane in '92, we decided just stay on Kauai. We lost $6.5 million in that hurricane and only had $800,000 insurance coverage. And it's paid off our last hurricane bill 2 years ago. So I built the nursery 3 times already on Kauai, and if another hurricane comes, I'm quitting. I'm not going to rebuild. But it's been far more rewarding than I could ever imagine. And I'd like to thank all the people here who all supported us over the years. And I got involved in LICH probably in the early 70s and stayed active in it. And I could see the future, but it was up and down our organization. And I think this is the strongest we've ever had, this organization. And I'd like to thank you all for participating and attending, and you need to see it grow. The educational aspect that we have in this program now is doing wonders to upgrade the workforce. The community college is not doing it. We, the industry, have to get out there and provide this training program for people working in it. We have to be professional in order to make this thing survive. Thank you.
Wasn't it amazing looking at that slide, that map of Kauai, and you see all those X's, and every X is basically every resort on the island. So pretty amazing legacy to leave to shape an island like that. Well, moving right along to our third Director Emeritus that we're honoring this morning. You can tell the same person did all 4.
Introducing the man behind the scenes, managed the organization for over 10 years, Director Emeritus, J.W.
Is really immeasurable. If I had not had that partnership, both institutionally with the industry and individually and personally, I don't think any of this sort of happened. It's been a really great ride, and so we're still on it. He's always been a good friend, and he's always looking out for the industry, and I appreciate that a lot. We give credit for dedication. Stick with the program, and put up with some of the people out of 10 p.m. to work on it together. And you can work with anybody, and made it go smooth.
Being a research associate in the college doing research on mineral nutrition, changed his position to an education specialist and worked with David Hensley. And then David retired or left us and went to Arkansas. And Jay essentially took over following working with Dave's teaching. And he basically sold the department program with respect to landscape.
He's my go-to person for turf. He knows everything. Jay has worked tirelessly at putting together these conferences year after year.
He might be surprised too.
That's my wife. Did you guys know about this? I don't know what to say. I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And Garrett started the whole thing. Boyd, is Boyd going to get an award?
Yes.
Okay. Boyd came after that as president, and then Chris after that, right? And during that whole time, Leland was the vice president. And each of those guys had a really big influence on how LICH grew. Garrett resurrected it. Steve, I saw Steve's thing. Steve was a previous president before LICH went into the box. And Garrett resurrected it. And then, of course, Chris, who's taken us into the space age. With the magazine, the logo, and Facebook and Twitter. I don't know what those things are, you know. But Chris does. These guys all served well, did a lot of work. I was just lucky enough to be there, and I guess if you're around long enough, you get kind of a board like this. So, does this mean I'm really officially retired now, or what?
No. No, no one can retire from this job.
I thank you, especially Chris, and all of those who made this. Actually, we weren't elected the director emeritus, we were appointed, right? All the old guys. I think it was a way to kind of move us aside, but I do really appreciate the award. Thank you.
What Jay said is totally what I would expect him to say. But what he didn't say was that he really ran the organization. And, there were people like Garrett and Leland and Steve Nims and Boyd Reedy who were the faces of the organization. But behind those faces, all the actual work was done by Jay. So and he did that for 10, 15 years, and never really asked anything. In fact, sometimes I'd find out about things after he had already finished them, and he'd been working on them for months. So, very humble guy, but has been essential in this organization. It wouldn't be around without Jay. That's easily how I see the situation. We're going to present our fourth person, and then our fifth person was on vacation. So we're going to present Boyd next year. So our last director emeritus that we're going to be honoring this morning. Clay, go ahead.
First, Director Emeritus, recognizing 26 years of service to the industry, first president of the Landscape Industry Council of Hawaii.
father taught him, which was that the workday starts when the sun comes up and ends when the sun goes down. And for Steve, I know he followed that religiously and expected everyone around him to follow that religiously. Of course, he probably worked way beyond that, which is what makes us so special today. The other thing that I think that he did for the industry that was remarkable was helping to bring LICH over here. One of the first people to adapt new equipment and information, going from the shagometer to the resistograph to the tomograph, and I learned all of this through Steve's love of voice. Very useful.
Besides Steve's early leadership of the organizations, I think his biggest contribution was the geopolitical industry. He gave freely of his time, experience, knowledge, and resources to nurture our industry. He was always there for the Division of Urban Forestry, and in many ways, he helped us develop our urban forestry program to what it is today. He has taught me that we as arborists are the ones that need to speak for the trees. It is reassuring to work together with such a talented and dedicated arborist.
Well, I would have to think there's three very important things. One started years ago, and that was the push to get tree companies licensed. And so he was spearheading through the Arborist Association the effort to get everybody on the C-2070 special contractor's license. And that was very important at the time. The second one would be the push to be certified arborists, which he was one that was very excited about from the very beginning and done a group of us to become the original certified arborists in the state of Hawaii and then brought the gold industry up a number of notches in terms of professional merit. The other one that stands out was the creation of the Landscape Industry Council. I was there actually at the time. I wasn't much help, but I was there when it was proposed and enacted, and I think it's just absolutely a fabulous and ongoing contribution to the entire green industry.
Another piece of wood for you.
I'll just make this real short. I beyond words on this one, but we're running late on our schedule. I know we got a lot of things we got to get to, and these things go on. Normally I'm not lost for words, but the only thing I can say is one of those pictures had me with tickets. I'm still doing that. So this is for the scholarship fund, and right here from my nose to my arm is $10, and this is $20.
It's going to be a 50-50 auction. Half the money goes to the scholarship fund, half the money goes to the winning ticket. And the people that I couldn't be with a stronger group than this. And we all have a little bit of gray hair. Mine is tinted. It's really black from that other picture. What we need is the young people that are in here to start taking our places. We're not running away, but we're here as mentors and to keep things going. So thank you very much.
Can the four Director Emeritus come up here and pose for some pictures for a minute? We're going to honor the 5th Director Emeritus next year. But this is our 4/5 of our class of 2013, Steve Nims, Jay Deputy, Leland Nishak, and Garrett Webb.